As students get older, we can really start to see the divide between students who enjoy reading and students who don't. So what can teachers do about that? In today's video, I am sharing some simple motivation for students to read and to enjoy it. Welcome back, I'm Rachel Vincent, and on this channel, I share simple and practical tips that will help your classroom run smoothly. The number one thing we can do as reading teachers is to create positive reading experiences for our students. There are many ways to do this, but a few simple ones are to do something like Flashlight Friday, where you turn the lights off and give your students either little flashlights or little finger lights and let them read in the dark with a flashlight. You can do something as simple as taking your students outside to read, especially as the weather is warming up and the weather is nice. Take students outside, let them sit on the playground and read. If you have a courtyard area or something that you can take them, I've even just taken them right outside to a sidewalk and let them sit along the sidewalk and read. You can host a readathon where you take a good chunk of your day and just read as many books as students can. You could provide little snacks or let them bring snacks so that they can just spend the day reading. You could allow students to bring in blankets or a stuffed animal that they can read with and just find a cozy spot around the classroom and read. Helping students connect reading to enjoyment is something that we need to do in upper elementary. Students get so many of those opportunities in the lower grades, in the primary grades when they're learning to read, but so often as they get older, and there's more standards to cover and we have all of this test preparation, that some of those simple, enjoyable things about reading get pushed out the window. But it's important that we continue to include those into our classrooms so that students have those positive reading experiences. Making sure that we create time to read to our students is also very important in the upper grades. A simple way to encourage yourself to remember to read or to help your students remind you to read is just to display the book you are reading aloud to your students. When it's out of sight, it's often out of mind. So if it's right there on the board in front of you, it'll hopefully help you to remember or your students can remember. It's also a great conversation when other teachers and people come into the classroom and they see the book, they can say, "Oh, are you guys reading that?" and have conversations with your students about what you are reading. Another great way to implement reading aloud to your students and to encourage your students to try other books that they wouldn't normally try is doing something like First Chapter Friday. Each Friday, you get a book off of your bookshelf that maybe students aren't reading or gravitating towards naturally and read the first chapter. I don't know what it is about reading a book to students and only reading a little bit of it just sort of makes everyone want to finish reading the book, even if they don't even like that genre. Because you read the first part, they either want to know what happens or they just want to because that's the book you chose. It is amazing how much influence we have over our students and what they read. Another thing that is really beneficial is to team up with a different class, maybe a younger class or a special ed class, to have your students go read books aloud to them. Our special ed teacher came to us a few months ago and asked if I had a few students who would like to read to her class every Tuesday. And I was thinking I would just have 2 or 3, where over half of my class volunteered to go read to the other students. They want those opportunities to be able to read to younger students. They love the fact that they get to read books that are picture books and that are easier to read because it allows them to practice those reading skills using voices and fluency, and it is just overall beneficial for everyone. Talking about books is so important in the older grades. Having book talks, book chats, book clubs, however you want to organize it in your classroom, but talk to your students about the books they are reading. Allow them to talk to each other about the books they are reading. So often students gravitate towards the same books over and over again, and there's nothing wrong with that. But in order to expose them to other types of books, we have to be talking about books. Make sure there is time in your schedule for students to just read. Students don't know they enjoy reading until they're given the time to read. and allow your students to choose what they want to read. There is nothing worse than being forced to read a book you don't want to read. That's why the Cliff Note business is booming, because nobody wants to read books they don't want to read. So in order to instill that love of reading into your students, you have to allow them to read books that they want to read. And of course, you want to encourage them to branch out and read other books, and that's what like First Chapter Friday is beneficial. All those book talks and different things, those are beneficial in those ways to expose them to new types of literature, but just let them read the books they want to. So if they choose to read Diary of a Wimpy Kid over and over and over again, it doesn't matter, they're reading, and that's what matters the most. Not only do we need to engage our students in reading, we also need to engage our students in all of our other lessons. Check out the video that's on your screen now for some easy engagement ideas for your lessons. I'll see you over there.